right, we're going to talk about a different kind of dread game. First of all, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. So, dread game, classically, is where you're instilling a fear of loss into your partner. Basically letting them know that they could lose you or lose you to somebody else. And that creates what's called dread, okay? It comes from a fear of loss, all right? So even if it's not like really severe dread game, just, you know, separating yourself from that person or going out without her, you know what I mean? That can instill what we call dread, which is a fear of losing you, and then that makes her more attracted, or that makes her attracted to you, you know, because she understands that she could lose you. So that's the basics of how that works. But I'm going to introduce a different form of that in this video, okay? It's actually, and I haven't decided, I haven't really come up with a term for it yet, but because we need a term for it. But it's where you do stuff for her, and then that creates dread. So, okay, in like red pill circles and all this stuff, we're very focused on, you know, making sure you're not the nice guy, the pushover, making sure that you're not qualifying to a woman, and then just doing a bunch of stuff, you know, to a woman who, you know, for a woman that doesn't appreciate any of it, right? So we seem to, a lot of guys seem to get this idea that you never do anything for a woman. And that's completely false, all right, actually. And that's anti-seduction. You know, that's not really seducing a woman. Okay, so if anything, to not do anything for her ever is kind of like, it's almost creating, you could actually be creating a toxic or abusive, even, not that you're abusive, but, you know, a toxic, we'll say at the very least, relationship environment by taking that stance. And we're talking now LTR game, right? So this is someone you're in a long-term relationship or a partner, all right? Not just somebody you're seeing, dating, plating, whatever, all right? Plates are different, okay? Dates are different. They haven't earned it yet. But we're talking about somebody who you've given away your commitment to, at least to some level. And so, you know, now there are things we do to keep attraction and arousal happening throughout that relationship. Dread's one of those things, but what's little known about is this idea of using acts of service to create dread. So, and this is pretty sneaky, and it's actually pretty awesome because it creates the type of relationship where it creates a really beyond healthy, a really fun and fulfilling dynamic with your partner, actually, when you can do this. Now, because what it is in essence is that she, first of all, this is assuming that everything else is correct, right? When I say correct, I mean she sees you as her sexual best, you're her apex alpha, so she wants to be with you because of that, not because of other reasons like good for now guy, provisioning, money in your pocket, stuff that's more, you know, beta male stuff that's not going to make her aroused, you know, toward, you know, being aroused by you, and it's not going to create burning desire. But we're assuming that you did the things right, you're in the relationship because she has burning desire for you, and you're her apex alpha. She doesn't believe she can do anything better, right? Okay, so one of the things you bring to the table, as I've talked about in previous video recently, was your alpha presence. Just having that presence and that masculine presence brings her, you know, happiness, comfort, fulfills desires for her, all of those things, right? So we talked about that before, but now it's like, so what happens? She sees you as her best. She sees you as better than she is, and then you do stuff for her, or you do something for her. Okay, so what happens, and it's the way you do it, because here's this, again, there's this false idea that you don't do stuff for a woman, and that somehow you're going to beta-tize yourself if you do anything for her. No, it's because you guys are doing it wrong when you do stuff for women. That's why. In the past, in your past, when you did stuff for women, most guys, when they do stuff for women, they're not doing it right. They're doing it like a bitch. You know, they're not doing it like an alpha male. They're not doing it like a masculine dominant person. They're doing it like, you know, like a weak male. Okay? So most people, when the mistake is the weaker males, are doing things for women to qualify to them. In other words, say, I'm going to try to earn you by doing these things. I'm going to try to earn your sexual presence and sexual desire by making dinner, cleaning the house, you know, running an errand for you, all of those things. That's wrong, okay? So that's not what I'm suggesting. That's a recipe for disaster. You're not trying to earn anything from her, or for, you know, you're not trying to earn her attraction or earn her desire through any sort of act like that. What you're doing is being attractive and seducing her. Okay, that's how she becomes attracted to you, not because you do stuff for her. Don't listen to 5 love languages and all the bullshit psychology out there that sets up men for failure, okay? Listen to me, okay? If you do things for a woman to try to earn her, qualify to her, impress her, whatever, that's why you're doing it wrong, okay? Now, let's get into service. We'll call it service dread game. I just made that up now because I don't know a term for this, all right? It's where you're seen as the alpha male, you're seen as your sexual best, and then you create an experience and you do something for her. You do something that is nice, romantic, or whatever. So this also assumes, by the way, if you're not, you should be vetting for whether or not she's an entitled woman or whether she's an appreciative type of a person. If she's someone who is entitled and thinks that when people do things for her, you know, she assumes that that's how it should be because she's so amazing, right? If she's somebody who is kind of a narcissistic a little bit. A lot of women in the West, especially the United States, are very narcissistic, and they think they deserve things without having to earn them, right? Or without having to show up and do any sort of work in return. And that's not the type of woman you ever want to be in a relationship with. So what I'm about to talk about will not work with an entitled woman. All right. So you won't outgame entitlement. That is a personality flaw that she has that you need to vet for. Okay. You can temporarily outgame it to get sex or whatever, but you're never going to have a functional, happy relationship in any sense with an entitled woman. So a woman who's just not appreciative of things that you do and thinks that she should have those things and that you should be doing those things because of whatever narcissistic fantasy she has, that's not somebody that you ever want to be in a long-term relationship with. So this thing I'm about to talk about won't work with that person, okay? Because that person shouldn't even be in the spot that she's in. All right. So assuming you vetted, meaning that she is not an entitled woman and she enjoys doing things for you because you're her alpha male. All right. Now you do things for her. All right. And you create experiences, and you don't do them because you got an argument and you want to show her how sorry you are. You don't do it to earn things from her, right? That's not why you're doing them. You're doing it because she has been showing up and being an amazing partner, right? And you're rewarding that behavior. Or you're doing it just because. Now, the just because thing is where the dread happens, okay? So, she's showing up and being awesome, sweet. So you do stuff, right? You make dinner. You create an awesome evening. You give her lots of amazing sex. Whatever it may be. You do that favor for her, you're whatever, you know, but you're doing things for her because she's doing things for you. She's complimenting your life. She's earning the things you're doing. Okay, that's the difference. But then, you know, she's having one of those days or whatever, you're just, you know, she's not doing anything in particular to earn anything. And then you just do something just because. All right. So what this does in a woman who thinks you're her apex alpha is it creates dread, because she is like, God, he's such an amazing partner for doing this. And he's such an amazing dude. He's such an amazing guy. I feel, she feels like outmatched. And she feels like she needs to step her game up. She feels like she better do more or she could lose you. All right? Now, you're not just doing this. This is a net result of good behavior in a relationship and how things should go, right? This is not something you're doing to like manipulate. I don't suggest that you do this as a means of manipulating your chick. But this is just the net result of what happens when you're in a good, healthy, long-term relationship with somebody, and it's a type of dread, but this is just the dread that happens with being in that type of relationship, because you're doing stuff for her when she's doing, she's earning it. Okay, she's earned her place, she's earning it every day. But then you're just doing random things too, taking care of things, right? And a lot of that is I'm not saying big things like run to the store and buy her this big gift or whatever. Those are dumb beta male acts of, things that guys do to try to earn chicks, and it's stupid, right? What I'm talking about is simply like paying attention to her and paying attention to what goes on and creating something or doing an experience. So I'll give you an example. I'm just, went to the store, bought some stuff, threw together a nice, simple little dinner. They had some roses on sale. Picked up some roses, grabbed them for her. I don't bring flowers a lot. I'm not like, I'm bringing flowers. I don't bring flowers for apologies. I don't even do flowers on special days, okay? I don't do anything on special days, to be honest, because it's all bullshit and fake anyway. But, dozen roses, right? It's nice. Girls like that stuff, right? It's pretty. And so I did that for her, and we had a nice, quiet little dinner where she could de-stress for a little bit and she didn't have to worry about anything. And that was cool, And then she's getting ready. Now, I'm also seducing her as she's getting ready, all right? Taking little breaks, kissing her on the neck, messing with her. I won't get into that, okay? And then, send her on her way, tell her, all right, I'll stop by later and grab a drink. And then, of course, when you get back, I'll be asleep. I want you to wake me up, and I'm going to, give you a lot of orgasms until you pass out. And so that's it, right? And so now there's this anticipation. So this is seduction stuff. There's this anticipation now from all this stuff I did, and now she's like turned on because I'm messing with her and seducing with her a little bit, but then, back off, let her get ready. Is that push-pull, and then I tell her what's going to happen later, which implants in her mind a visualization of what's going to happen later, so she's not going to be able to stop thinking about that the whole night. And and I didn't give her any sex before leaving because wasn't enough time. Well, I could have made time, but I didn't for a reason. And so now she's going to be anticipating that event when she gets home from the bar. Working the bar, of course, not drinking at the bar, closing the bar about somewhere between 3 o'clock or, closes at 2, so somewhere between 3:30, she'll get back, and then I'll slam her into next week, give her a lot of orgasms, put her to bed. Okay, so now what that does for her is it creates dread. She's like, oh my God, this guy is perfect. What? I need to step my game up. And so what do you think she's going to do? Well, she's going to show up like her best self for multiple days after this. She's going to make sure she's doing stuff for me. You know what I mean? She's going to try to outdo me even, okay, with stuff. She's going to try to make sure, because she's like, man, this guy, I don't want to, it creates a little bit of dread of, I don't want to lose this guy. And I don't want to be a bad. This guy's I don't want him to outmatch me here, you know, and to be this, you know, like, and so she knows she has to qualify to me as me being the alpha male, right? Because I'm not qualifying her, I'm just doing stuff and creating experience. So she has to now like work extra hard, right? But it's not like she's working extra hard in dread in a sense where she's like anxious necessarily. There's a little bit of anxiety, but it's more pleasurable. Do you know what I mean? So she enjoys now putting effort towards me because it's not done out of, oh, I guess I better do some effort because I could lose this guy, or it's anxious and it's not, you know what I mean? It comes from a negative place. This now comes from a positive place. It's like, man, this guy is blowing my freaking mind every day. I can't believe he got roses, he did this dinner, you know, banged me out, like all this stuff. So it's like, man, I really need to step it up. And so it comes from a place of pleasure. It comes from a good place, but there is dread element to it because she doesn't want to lose me or be less. You know what I mean? Because she knows she needs to qualify to me as me being her, you know, her apex alpha. So that is higher level dread game, and it works awesome, and it is so much more fun and pleasurable. Like, it's such a better way of being with women, you know. I'm not saying the other way of doing dread isn't useful, because certainly when things get to a point, sometimes you have to utilize that other way of doing dread. Okay, pulling off, backing off, and doing other things. Well, that's another video, okay? Some of you guys don't know what I'm talking about, some of you won't. But the other way of doing dread, I'm not saying it's not useful. Or, I mean, it definitely needs to be in your repertoire of ways of handling your woman, okay? But this is something that we don't talk about in red pill circles. We probably need to, though, because it creates a really healthy dynamic where she is constantly there and qualifying to you and complimenting your life. She works hard to compliment your life, but here's the thing. She's not working hard to compliment your life reluctantly, or she does it for a while and then she's like, ugh, like, why am I doing this? Or, you know, it's not done out of anxiety. Because, see, even anxiety, like, done from a negative space, like negative dread game, you can't actually maintain that for too long because she'll get overwhelmed with that. She'll get exhausted, not overwhelmed, but exhausted from that constantly doing stuff out of anxiety. Constantly doing stuff because she's fearful of losing you. You know what I'm saying? So that's exhausting for her. She'll crap out and she'll be less enthusiastic and all that stuff. And then it'll affect your sex life too if that's important to you, which it should be. It'll be affected because of that. Because she's going to be stressed out and tired and exhausted from trying to constantly qualify you, make you happy from a negative place. When it comes from a positive place, though, and you're also taking care of things for her, because it's not, again, it's not to qualify. You're not trying to qualify to her or, you know, earn her or any of that bullshit. You do it because, well, I don't know, I enjoy it. Like, I enjoyed picking up some stuff and making nice dinner. That's enjoyable. That's fun. You know what I mean? I enjoy seducing her. You know, I enjoy smacking her in the ass, send her off to work, and then I get some of my work done, or I do something social with somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, this is a quality of life. So I'm doing things that are enjoyable, you know, that I like to do. And so it's not me, you know, so when I do these things for her, even if it's go to the store or whatever, man, like clean something, whatever, I don't know. You know, but I clean stuff because I'm a clean person and I live in a clean house, right? And I have a clean space. So that's why I clean stuff, you know what I mean? I'm not just cleaning stuff because, oh, I better clean stuff or she's going to be mad at me, or I better clean the kitchen so I can hopefully get my monthly blowjob. Like, no, dude, that's stupid. You guys are doing it wrong. You know, I do shit because I want to do it, but some of the shit that I want to do involves me doing things for her, and it works awesome because she's constantly doing shit for me, constantly, and she doesn't have any stress over it. She doesn't even realize like she's putting herself out half the time to do it, because it's so enjoyable for her to make me happy, you know, because I'm doing things to make her happy. Now, think about that for a minute. Like how fun, right? Like, isn't that like a good, like that should be why you would want to be in an LTR. You know what I mean? Like you have a hot chick that's with you and you're making each other happy all the time. Like that's pretty cool, right? Like, isn't that what we would want? Now, I know the world's not perfect and you're going to fight sometimes, you're going to have conflicts, there's going to be bullshit. And so you handle that stuff, right? Not a big deal. But as far as a way of being most of the time, if this is done correctly from an alpha space, you create the right kind of dread that comes from a positive place, and she will happily serve you, you know. And I'm just telling you, this is like game level expert, you know what I mean, if you can master this, because there is a balance that occurs here, because you can't just shower her with doing stuff, you know what I mean, in a way where you're qualifying to her, because obviously that's not going to be good either. But it's a way of doing it where you're not doing anything out of obligation. You're not doing anything because you have to. You're doing things because you want to, and it just creates this thing where she's like, oh shit, he's so good to me. I need to do more things, and her attraction and arousal to you is just like, it'll be blown away. Like, she's gonna want to be on top of your junk, like, constantly, you know, which is what you want, right? You should. So anyway, this is a way of approaching, we'll call it acts of service, right? I hate that trash book, 5 Love Language book. We can call it acts of service, all right? Whatever, doesn't matter, but this is how you approach this. It's a different form of dread, but you have to understand it is a form of dread. Because if you're not doing it right, then she's going to be entitled, and she's not going to feel like she needs to step her game up. Instead, she's going to feel like, well, yeah, he should be doing that for me because I'm better than he is, and I'm so awesome, or whatever. If she doesn't see you as an apex alpha, well, then it's a transactional relationship, and then she expects you to do things for her. So then she can sprinkle some things back, so, you know what I mean? The queen can dole out some affection because you did something for her. Like, that's the worst. Don't do that, all right? But when you have a woman in an LTR that sees you as, you know, the best that she can do, like, and then you're doing shit for her, and it's by surprise, it's intermittent, you know what I mean? It's when it makes sense, and you're doing it, you're not just doing shit for, but so you're doing it in a way like where you're paying attention. Like my example I gave, cooking dinner and creating that little space for her, I created an experience during a 15-hour workday where it's ordinarily very stressful for her, and there's a lot going on, you know what I mean? Like, and she might just grab something real quick to eat or not eat at all, like everything's a mess and everything's rushed. I created that little space of experience for her, you know what I mean? And then built anticipation up. So what do you think she's gonna do after a 15-hour work day? Do you think she's gonna be exhausted and crabby and go to bed? Like, after that little act? No. She's gonna enthusiastically want to have large amounts of sex until she is in a coma, all right? As she should, all right? Because of that little bit of service dread. So, this is game master level, all right? Take it, use it, but don't use it on the wrong person, and don't be stupid with it. Most of you guys have had the experience of qualifying to women and using acts of service or whatever as a means to try to earn a woman. That is not what this is. I can't stress that enough. If you do it that way, where you're trying to earn her, or it's a covert contract expecting something in return, or any of this stuff, you're not going to be successful. But if she's in your frame, sees you as her apex alpha, and then you utilize this, it's going to create like a massively exciting and happy relationship between you two. It's gonna do a lot for you. So I hope that this is a good lesson. I hope that you liked it. Thanks again.